Have you ever felt guilty for no longer wanting to continue with a spiritual practice that has once served you so deeply? This is the topic for today's episode. I want to talk about where this guilt comes from and why so many of us keep holding on to something that once worked for us, but no longer aligns for us in this season of our life. Let's unpack this. Welcome to Higher Self Mastery, the podcast for women ready to leave behind who they were told to be and remember who they truly are. I'm your host, Dami Schumacher. This is your space to come home to yourself, to honor the inner pull for more truth and more depth, and more meaning as you enter a new chapter of your life. Together, we're reframing midlife crisis into the midlife magic that it actually is, because this is your rebirth. Through soulful conversations and spiritual tools, you'll reconnect to your truth and reclaim your voice and live the life that your soul came here for. So let's begin. Hello and welcome back to another episode of Higher Self Mastery. I'm your host, Dami Schumacher. Thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate all of you. So I really wanted to talk about spiritual guilt. This is something that I have personally experienced myself many years ago, and I really wish that I had been exposed to the guidance that I wish to share with you today. I had this conversation and just had somebody say to me, it's okay. It's okay to pivot. It's okay to leave behind things that were once dear to you, and why it might be tricky to let go of these things and what may actually be holding you back. So many of you who tune into this podcast, for a lot of you, this could be the first time or certainly the beginnings of a very new path and direction for yourself in your life. There is this huge spiritual awakening that is going on at the moment, right across the planet, where consciousness is awakening and shifting, and we're moving into new ways of being, a new paradigm. And with that, more and more people are trying new things, experimenting, exploring, and searching for something that fits them. And you absolutely might be one of those people. Maybe this podcast is new to you. Maybe you're new in my world, and this is something that you've just begun to explore. And if you're well seasoned, that's also fine as well. Like, this is still going to be an episode that I think is going to be really helpful for you to hear. Because when I was transitioning, from what I had been taught and what I was raised in to my own way of navigating life, with that came so much confusion, so much guilt and uncertainty about what I was doing, whether it was wrong, whether it was right, whether it was okay. And I just really wish that by hearing this, if you're in that season, if you're in that phase right now where you are starting to question those things, whether what you're doing is in fact okay, that this will help to shorten that period of guilt and help you to transition a lot more quickly and with some support and knowledge that it's okay to feel this way as well, and it's perfectly normal. So when we are beginning to try new things out, sometimes if you have been raised in a way that has taught you that spiritual growth, spiritual evolution is black and white, it can be so difficult for you to then steer away from that and to begin to accept and look at things in different ways. Now, I believe most people will fall into one of two camps. There is, of course, room in the middle for that gray area, but just to simplify for the purposes of today's conversation, most people fit into one of two camps. The first camp is that during your childhood, your parents, your primary caregivers, they did not raise you in an environment with strong religious or spiritual beliefs. So often people from this camp that I've met from my experience will have little to no trouble trying out new things and experimenting. They may have their own set of individual problems, unique problems and challenges that come with that as well. But that's a different episode and that's a different conversation. But in terms of like going out there and finding something that fits them, they can easily go out there and do that, right? They will, maybe something gets recommended to them. Maybe they go out and try lots of new things, so on and so forth. But those of us who fit into the second camp, and this is where I fall into this camp, I was raised in a religious household. Whether that's a particular named religion, as Hinduism in my case, or Christianity or Islam, whatever it might be for you, Judaism, or whether it was just a strong spiritual household where your parents' beliefs were then passed on to you and you were taught how to do life, so to speak, what to believe in, how things are meant to be, right? And you were given a set of instructions. That's what I'm talking about here. Now, for those of us who fall into this second camp, what I have noticed is that one of those beliefs that so often comes with that way of living, with those organizations, is that things can often be very black and white. There is a right way to do things and there's a wrong way to do things. And there's very little room for anything in between. You are given a book, often a scripture, which is essentially your guidebook, and you need to follow it to the T. And there's little room to maneuver out of this and try something different, change things for yourself, and do life in a way that actually works for you or suits you. And so with that can come an enormous amount of guilt when we do want to change what we're doing, when we do want to explore new things. Now, this is the situation that I found myself in about 25 years ago. I actively moved away from my parents' religion, the religion that I was raised in, a religion that I was very, very devoted to, and first began to start questioning things and was like, I'm not sure this is quite for me. There's a lot here that doesn't align. There's a lot here that doesn't resonate, etc., etc. And that was around the age of 14. And I really didn't do much consciously in terms of trying to find something else for a few years. I mean, I was a teenager. I had lots of other things on my mind. But very early on still, so around the age of 19, 18, in my early 20s, I began to very consciously start to go out there and seek something else that did fit for me. And I did find something. I've tried a few different things. Yoga was certainly one of those things. And I had a good yoga practice at that stage in my life, but it wasn't transformative. It was helpful. It was a really good tool. And it wasn't until my early 20s when I discovered Vipassana meditation. And I'm not going to go into the story of how I came across it and how it fell into my life, because I share that story in another episode. I think it was earlier this year, something like episode 32, I think. The one on divine timing. So if you're interested in hearing it, it is a good story. If you're interested in hearing that, I suggest you go back and have a listen to that, and you'll understand better how it came into my life. But it came into my life, right? And it had the most profound and transformative experience that I had had up to that point, and changed me for the better, forever from that point onwards, right? And I owe that practice so much gratitude, and I am grateful for it. And I owe it so much because it really gave me the basis and the core and the foundation of what I built afterwards on top of that, and how I then decided to move forward in terms of my own personal development and my own spiritual growth as well. I struggle to put it into words just how big it was for me. And this beautiful practice not only helped me navigate some very challenging periods of my life and came to me when I needed it the most, but the practice worked so well for who I was in that moment. However, moving forward, once I returned to the UK, once I fell back into my routine and my day-to-day life, after a little while, I began to notice that it was slipping. And initially, I put this down to my lack of commitment, allowing my old habits and behaviors to slip back in, and it was sort of slowly pushing the practice away. Now, that may be true to some extent, but it wasn't until many years later, and I was able to see it for what it was with perspective in hindsight, that I was able to see that actually what was happening was that the tool that once was a perfect fit for me in that moment just simply was not the right fit for me, for the new person that I had become and was becoming. And it was a real battle. Like, I felt so much guilt, and I tried so hard, so desperately to cling onto it and to reintegrate it into my life, because I knew the value of it. I knew how beneficial it can be. And I would catch myself in certain situations, in certain moments where I would react, and I would ask myself, Dami, if you had maintained your practice, if you had maintained your meditation practice, you wouldn't have reacted that way. You would have responded, and you would have been so proud of yourself for responding. Instead, you're reacting like you always have done in the past, and you don't feel proud of yourself for having reacted in that way. So why aren't you maintaining this practice? You've got all the knowledge, you've got the tools, it's right there. You've been gifted this. So why are you not using it? And with that, I would desperately try to bring it back into my life. And for a little while, I would succeed, but then it would fall away. And then I kept on yo-yoing back and forth like this for many years, 2 to 3 years at least. And in amongst all of that, there were tears, there was shame, there was guilt, because I felt like I was being disrespectful. I felt like I was throwing away to one side something that had been gifted to me, something that was so sacred to me, and just throwing it to one side and saying, you helped me, thanks, I appreciate you, but I don't need you now, so I'm just going to carry on like I always have done. Next, or something like that, like just with a complete disregard, which of course wasn't true. But I felt incredibly guilty. It's like, you have been given this. You have been given this gift, this knowledge, this wisdom. You've seen how it works. You've experienced how it works. So now go forth and embody it fully. Go deeper into it. You can take this so much further. And yes, I could have. And that's where I fell into this turmoil. That's where the belief systems of my childhood, the indoctrination of having been raised in a religion, began to show their colors in my adult life. Because, as I said, in a religion, in a strong set of spiritual rules, you are told how to do things. It's about control, ultimately. I mean, religions don't thrive from giving people permission to go out there and explore and be flexible. No religion in my experience, from my own personal experience or having spoken to other people who have a religious practice, do their scriptures very openly encourage people to say, here's our set of rules. This is how we like to do things. Pick and choose what you like. And anywhere that you may still have some gaps, go out there and see what else is available and then fill in those gaps and make your own beautiful cocktail and concoction that works just for you. I don't know any organized religion that does that or spiritual practice that does that. I'm happy to be corrected if you are aware of something like that. I would love to know about it, just out of curiosity. And please just bear in mind here as well that I'm not having a go at religion. I was raised in a religion and it has served me to a certain point, and I do not regret that. And I know that I would not be the person that I am today if I didn't have those core values at the heart of at the heart of who I am, good or bad, right? And there's a lot of good that came from it. And I know a lot of people who tune into this are religious as well. But I also trust, if you're tuning into my podcast, even if you do have a religious belief of your own, that there is a corner of your mind that is curious and open-minded, because otherwise you wouldn't be listening. Let's just be honest. I'm not the kind of person that would resonate for you, because I do talk about your own truth. I talk about your own power, and for you to be the only person who discerns what is right or wrong for you in any given moment of your life. And let's be honest, religion doesn't, again, endorse that, really. So I don't want to offend anyone. I'm just speaking my truth here. Always just take what resonates for you. But here I found myself in this moment in my mid-20s where I had found this beautiful practice, which was complementary to the yoga work that I had previously done. So it didn't work against it. It was that and this. And I found that it was really hard for me to accept and let go that it served me. It worked for me. It is a beautiful practice. It works and it can help me and others and anyone and everyone who chooses to embody it and work it. It can work for you. However, it no longer aligns for me. It was so hard for me to accept that this journey of spiritual evolution can be done on a grayscale, that it can be done in my own way, that it can be done in a way that is uniquely designed by me. And I say this because I was this person, but I was so self-righteous about it. I was so steadfast in my belief that once you find something, you have to pour all of yourself into it in order to truly achieve the results that you want, to find that fulfillment, to find that joy, that peace, to find all the answers that are going to give you the life that you desire, that you pick one thing and pour yourself into it. Don't jump around. And again, those belief systems were indoctrinated into me from when I was a child, from the religion that I was raised in. And I would even go so far as to judge some of my closest friends. There was a few of us that were on this beautiful journey together, and which brought us together in our friendship as well. And a lot of us were practicing yoga at the time. A lot of us were interested and had tried different forms of meditation. But unlike me, they belonged to that first camp that I mentioned, where they weren't raised in a very religious household from when they were little. Their parents didn't enforce a certain set of rules on them. There was a little bit more flexibility. So they found it easier to do the same. Like, yes, I found this and it works and it's wonderful. I'm just going to go over here and see what else is available. or I'm just going to try this. And when they would suggest different things, I thought it was blasphemy. Like, I was like, how dare you? But what's wrong with you? Why? Why are you looking for more? Can't you be content with what you've already found? Can't you see that what we have is gold? Like, we've got all the tools in our pocket now. We just have to use them. We just have to practice them, and we can have everything that we desire. Like, what is wrong with you? And I was so judgmental in that moment, or in that phase of my life. And I was so self-righteous in that phase of my life. Like, that is how spiritual evolution should work. It's only, again, in hindsight, and only as I've evolved and grown, that I am now able to look back and go, oh dear, Dami, like, you were so naive, and it's okay, because that's just what you were indoctrinated into believing, and it's not your fault. They're not your beliefs. Those are the beliefs of other people that were then shared with you. And what I really hope to accomplish through this conversation is to give you permission. If that's what you've been feeling, if you're transitioning from one way of spiritual practice and growth and have begun to just open up a corner of your mind to something new, something different, perhaps like me, I went from an organized religion to then going on my own spiritual journey and discovering things for myself, and then finding something else. And ironically, it was the rules of the first religion that was so absolute and rigid that made me want to leave in the first place, and made me want to go, this isn't for me. Or partly one of the reasons that made me say this isn't for me. That then I then took those very same belief systems and took it to the very thing that I found for myself afterwards, which is not what I've discovered moving forward and growing in this line of work, is that you can absolutely have a whole toolbox. And I often talk about toolboxes. Now, this practice of Vipassana meditation that once served me so profoundly is not lost. If you asked me and said to me, Dami, sit down and do some Vipassana meditation right now, I can drop straight into it. I may not be able to go as deep, but I know what to do. I have the skills. It's just a case of repracticing it. Just like having done my yoga teacher training course and having done quite a lot of yoga in my 20s and in my 30s, I may not practice as much right now, but if you told me to go right now and lay out my mat and do some of those postures, I know what to do. I know how to move through those sequences. I know what comes and why it comes, and all that knowledge is within me. What I mean to say is that all of these things, all of these practices, all of these tools are in my toolbox. And they were not for nothing. They are not wasted just because I have now chosen to go out there and see what else is out there and what feels good in this season of my life. And ultimately, once I gave myself permission to do this, and this is your permission slip if you need it, if you're feeling any kind of guilt for exploring something different, that know that it is beautiful to have a multicolored toolbox. It is so wonderful, so refreshing, so empowering. And your toolbox will look completely different to the next person's toolbox, because different things are going to resonate for us and different things are going to work for us in different seasons of our lives. And for example, over the years, over the last 25 years, 30 years, things that I've collected and discovered, once I dropped that guilt and allowed myself to start exploring openly, is that now I can dip into that toolbox and truly use what works for me in that moment. So maybe sometimes I'll journal. Maybe sometimes I'll do some ecstatic dance. Maybe I'll sit sometimes in a women's circle and talk things out. Maybe I'll go outside and just immerse myself in nature. It can be all sorts of things. It could even be where you're more passive, right? So maybe it's Reiki, maybe it's reflexology, maybe somebody's doing some crystal healing on you. So all of these things count, and they all just go into your toolbox. And it doesn't have to be black and white. And at any given moment, once you have this beautiful jewel-like toolbox, you can dip in and take out whatever suits you in any given moment, any season of your life. Now, the only caveat that I would want to point out here is that there can also be the danger of running to the next shiny thing. And I've talked about this in an episode last year. And that's the only thing that I would warn you here of. If you are somebody who has a history where you struggle to commit, where you do have a tendency to start new things and then drop them and start another new thing and then drop them, and you're always craving and looking for the next new exciting thing, but never go quite deep enough or never really give anything the chance that it needs to show you so you can experience for yourself just what it can do for you. And it's just the hit that you're seeking and searching for, then I would say to you, be careful, slow down, try some of these things, because those are the patterns that you want to break. It's not right or wrong or good or bad. That if that is who you are and that's just part of your personality, then that's who you are. That's okay. But just be aware of that. And then I don't want to be that person to encourage you to go out there and seek more and seek more and seek more. Only you know that. Only you can discern whether you are somebody who runs from commitment and going deeper into things and just love to sit on the surface level of things and then keep jumping from one thing to the next. Or if truly you used something, you used a tool, or you really gave a particular tool a go and it either resonated for you and served you, or it didn't resonate for you once you explored it a little bit more and it just didn't align for you, no matter how many praises you heard from other people around you. Maybe it's something that all of your girlfriends are talking about right now and they love and it's working for them. So you are open and you went out and you tried it. But after 2-3 sessions, you gave it you committed to it. You tried really hard to immerse yourself in it. And you're just like, no, this doesn't feel right for me right now. That's okay. But only you can discern that. And then go off and find something else if it is, keep exploring, see what else is available out there for you. I just want this to be your permission slip to trust yourself, to not get caught up in that guilt like I did for such a long time, because it really was turmoil. It's such an ungrounding place to be. And I wouldn't wish that for anybody. Of course, I appreciate our journeys are our own, but truly, if somebody had had this conversation with me at that moment, I would have been so grateful for it. So I hope this is something that lands for you if you needed to hear it. I hope this has been your reassurance, your permission slip, if this is something that you're experiencing or going through, or maybe it's a girlfriend of yours that you know who's currently navigating this, and perhaps you could pass this episode on to them and get them to listen to it so it can help them to feel less guilty, to transition with greater ease, with greater joy, and just accept that that's okay. It's okay to do things your own way. You discern what is right for you. Don't allow anybody or anything outside of you to do that for you. Don't give your power away. And loyalty does not equal goodness, like you may have been taught. And exploration is not wrong. Don't feel guilty for it. And do not get stuck in the rigidness or out of fear or out of conditioning. understand that you don't need to stay loyal to something just because it once served you. If it no longer fits, it's okay to put it down. It's okay to go out there and change your mind as you change. So let this be your permission slip to release, to let go, and trust what is calling you right now. And if you're feeling a gentle nudge, go out there and be curious. Go out there and explore. Go out there and experiment and have fun with it. This journey is supposed to be fun. And I think so many of us can forget that, and it can become so serious, so stern, and it really isn't supposed to be that way. I hope this has landed for you and served you. I appreciate all of you so much. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I'll see you again next week. Bye. Thank you for joining me on this episode of Higher Self Mastery. If something landed, moved you, or sparked a shift, I'd love to hear from you. Be sure to follow, subscribe, and share this episode with a woman in your life that is also ready to rise. And if you found value in today's conversation, please take a moment to rate and review this podcast, especially in these early days. It really helps others to find this work too. If you're craving deeper support and sisterhood, join my mailing list using the link below, where you'll be the first to receive free meditations, learn about up-and-coming retreats, and other ways that we can work together. Until next time, honor your truth and trust in the timing of your becoming.